30 Minutes with Ron. Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name's Ron Gagliardi, and I'm the host of 30 Minutes with Ron. And today we have a second-time guest. She actually had the audacity and the temerity to come back and see us again. This is Joann Dunsing from Milford, and you are a certified hypnotherapist, or would you say hypnosis? Hypnotist.
Hypnotist it is. Yes, hypnotist, because legally speaking, I'm not a certified healthcare professional. So if I were a psychologist practicing hypnosis, then I could legally say I'm a hypnotherapist. But the truth be known, I'm a hypnotist, but I do hypnotherapy.
But not officially.
Well, it's the tools of hypnosis.
Right. Yeah.
So anyhow.
Well, welcome back.
Well, thank you
Glad
so
to
much
have
for
you.
having me back.
I was thinking about our last show, and I was very impressed with all that you taught us. And we got talking again after the show, and we came up with, wonder how many kinds of things are useful in the world of hypnotist, or how many things hypnosis is useful. And we came up, or you did, all 26 letters of the alphabet, something for each one.
Yes.
I was amazed, because it's not always easy to do that. And I thought today, and we thought together, that that would be an interesting way to go with the show. I'm ready, or you are?
I am ready.
All right.
And I love your A to Z thing.
It's really a nice way to milk your mind. It's the one way I know of that can do it almost automatically. And if you sit down and don't do it with an alphabet, you don't get as many letters done.
I was pleasantly surprised when I sat down to do it.
Yeah.
Because my first thought was, oh, are you kidding me? You can't think of, and bam, 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 it just flowed, and I was so grateful for the flow.
Good.
Because, you know, flow feels so much better than being stuck. And that's so much about the whole hypnosis session thing, is people get stuck. We all need help. We all reach out, right?
Yep.
So, you want to know the letter A?
Well, you can pick the letter A if you like. You could always go to Z if you want. We'll let you go however you'd like to go.
Well, I'll pick the letter A, and then if you'd like to select a letter, we could do that.
All right.
So A, of course, anxiety. But some fun ones are alcohol usage. And recently, am I all right? Am I all right? This particular gentleman in his late 60s had come to me a few years back to stop smoking. And since I last saw him, he's had quite a bit happen in life. So he called me up recently and said, Joann, I've been through a lot. I just kind of want to come in and make sure I am all right. Let's come on in. And of course, we concluded with, yes, you are all right. Of course, I verified that he was seeing his doctors, taking any necessary medications, etc. So sometimes we just need reassurance.
Right.
And that was his case. He needed to talk out. This is what's happened. Yeah, your emotions are all normal and natural.
Good to know you're checked in.
You are all right.
And checked out, even.
Yes, yes.
All right, speaking of checked out, let's go with O.
Oh, let me see what I have here for the letter O. Oh, interesting topic these days. I have obesity from excessive food intake. It's very particular, obesity from excessive food intake, because we now have science supporting obesity as a disease. So this would be obesity from excess food intake. Somebody might be using food like somebody else might be using cigarettes. They get a feeling they don't like. Survival brain goes, you can't have this, you have to feel better. So with that individual, it's like, go eat something. They're not hungry. They've already properly nourished themselves.
Right.
But that's their go-to. They're using the food like somebody would use alcohol.
Well, as a person who was formerly a little overweight, I can tell you that it's tough to come down from when you get up to the heights of, I was 215.
Really?
And I'm a little too short to maintain 215. But now I've come down. I am now 160 as of we speaking today.
That's a significant weight loss.
Yeah.
So in your case, it was excessive eating.
Yes, I was a professional videographer, and I attended, I don't know, probably 30, 40 weddings and bar mitzvahs a year, videotaping them, and I was able to go to the table with all the goodies, and that was making me a little bit overweight. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. But if you had one or two, it probably would not have shown itself quite so evident.
Right, but I could never stop at one or two.
Well, there we go.
I'm a glutton, or I was a glutton. Now, no more gluttony.
Now, interestingly enough that you would bring that up, because part of that is a chemical reaction, can be a chemical reaction. Eating the sugar can start the chemical reaction of addiction, right?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta have more, gotta have more, gotta have more. So that's where I primarily am working with people who are eating the excessive food. And sometimes we have to identify,
Yep.
is there a particular food that brings you there? Some people, it's a Mounds bar. Some people, it's ice cream. So,
You gotta watch out.
you know, we make the adjustments and we get into, we all just want to feel better. And we don't call ourselves names like gluttonous.
Oh. What do we call ourselves?
We all just want to feel better. You just want to feel better, so you go for more. Or you see there, that Mounds bar, it takes you down into that addictive physical cycle. It's not psychological. There's a chemical thing that begins to take place. Not with everyone. If I didn't have my hypnosis skills,
Right.
I could not have that chocolate chip mint ice cream in my freezer.
Makes sense to me.
Because that first bite, and I say to myself, oh my God, I want more. And I'm like, what are you, crazy? You have a bowl full. And I'm like, uh-huh. So I really understand how that works with my clients.
Right. And I'm so glad you mentioned Mounds bars. I used to work in Naugatuck, and that's where the Almond Joy company,
Yeah.
Peter Paul Mounds and Almond Joy, was.
Mm-hmm.
So we bring in other parts of Connecticut when we talk. Yes. How about, let's see, you come up with a letter you feel like talking about.
So let's see here. I seem to have a lot over here under the letter H. Heights, ladders, bridges, second floor of her home. So many, many moons ago, a woman had called me, and I had met her through networking. So we knew a lot of people through networking. So beautiful home. Her second floor was cut out, I don't know what you call it. It overlooked down into a beautiful foyer.
Yep.
Gorgeous marble floors, beautiful banister, beautiful stairs leading up. So she said she had a problem with that. Fear.
Yeah.
You know, so she said she had called in a hypnotist from out of state. Like 6 times she had him go out to her house.
Whoa.
So I already knew what not to do with this lady. So I went to her home. So she was like, okay, Joann, so watch what happens. As I begin to walk up the stairs, she said, you see, I keep getting closer and closer. So by the time she gets to the top, she's practically got her whole body just kind of sliding up. Then she gets upstairs, and she's got her back up against the wall, and she's showing me how she has to get to her bedroom, how she has to get to the bathroom. I said, okay. So then I look out, and I felt the color leave my face. I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot that heights could have that kind of an effect on me. So now my back is up against the wall, and I'm working with her. I'm doing emotional freedom techniques with her. So I'm working with her, and she's getting more and more comfortable, and she's taking more and more steps, but I'm not. So anywho, she's almost running up and down the hallway, up and down the stairs. Then she wants to go outside and try a few things that she's got a fear of heights with. And I'm like, good, let's do that, because I'm thinking, oh God. So we go outside. So she's standing on a little wall she's got. She's jumping here, she's jumping there, happy as a lark, right? So sure enough, back to the networking, yada, yada, yada. So I start hearing through the grapevine, so this is wonderful, blah, 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 is no longer afraid of being up there on her second floor, but we heard you had a little problem with it. I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot. And when I looked out, I was like, oh. So isn't it interesting that I could help her get through, get over her fear?
Right.
And I was still like, oh my gosh. And I was so grateful that I was working with her, because I was able to calm myself. But I was not moving. heights.
Well, you confused me there for a minute, because when you said height, I said, you mean there's people who are afraid they're not going to be 6 feet tall? I actually wanted to be 6 feet tall, but I only got to 5'8" and 3/4.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I had a problem with height, but I didn't think, I could get helped by anyone with it.
Well, you're right. And then it's kind of like we go into focusing more and more on what is within your control.
Mm-hmm.
So your height really isn't within your control,
No.
but your excessive eating was. So focusing more and more on what is within your control.
Right.
So then you began backing off on the food, consuming less. Because think about it. When you take your car to the gas station, you don't overfill the gas tank.
No.
Because it would overflow onto the asphalt. So anywho, what letter would you like next?
I was thinking of I.
I, imagining worst case scenarios. All of the awful what ifs. Imagining health problems and potentially dying. This can go along with fear. I love when I get people in my office who say, Joann, I'm afraid of dying. I go, you're gonna die. They're like, oh my gosh, what am I here for? I'm afraid of dying. I go, but you're gonna die. I mean, the truth is, we're gonna die, and we don't, like, I could die right now, and they're like, oh my God, don't, so.
Yeah, don't die on the stage. That wouldn't be good, no.
So that's kind of what we can do with some fears. It's like, okay, let's get real here. Fear of dying, you are going to die, but what are you actually afraid of when it comes to dying? Well, I don't know where I'm going. Or, well, I don't want to die in a car accident.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to dying. Hopefully not today or, anytime soon. But I once had a seance and was visited by a spirit. And I don't think I was making the visit up. So I'm thinking, well, now I'm pretty sure there are spirits and I'm going to be one. And eventually I'm just going to have fun being a spirit.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, some do say, and probably in that seance circle they may have said it, some do say, we are spirits having a human experience.
Ah, nice way to look at it.
Interesting concept.
Yeah. Okay, your turn.
Okay.
Pick a letter.
So, M, mouth pain, jaw clenching, jaw grinding. So, man, and there's variations in that. Some people clench in their sleep and don't know it. Some people have got that TMJ diagnosis where there's something not quite right with their jaw. Some people can get that fixed through their dentist and other health professionals, and some people just have to live with it. I have a new client. She's come for 2 sessions already. She has a very serious TMJ problem. She's heavily medicated. She's in a lot of pain. However, when she is in that chair and we're doing the hypnosis, she is so relaxed. But what I'm doing partially in the hypnosis is I'm making her aware. Is her jaw clenched? Is she grinding her teeth? If your teeth are touching, just release your jaw just a little bit. No need for your teeth to touch. Because we want to ease up on all of that unnecessary pain that she may be creating from clenching and whatnot. Someone else had come to me and she's got all kinds of genetic dental type things, and she had a significant decrease in the jaw clenching. Well, how do you know if you're jaw clenching in your sleep? Maybe you're woken up by it, or maybe you wake up in the morning and you've got intense pain. Or you're just an awareness of, ooh, I'm still clenching.
Yeah, I think that there's a term bruxism for when you rub your teeth together. So then they put some kind of a rubber thing between your teeth.
Well, right. So a mouth guard. I've known somebody who busted his mouth guards.
Wow.
Oh yeah, very intense, very intense. High achiever, type AAA.
What is a AAA?
AAA, my goodness.
You know the A's of the AAA?
AAA. Well, I call them when my car doesn't start and stuff like that.
Well, you don't need hypnosis for that. No. Okay, now I think it's your turn, or my turn?
Well, One of our turns. I've had 2 turns.
You've had 2 turns?
I think so.
Oh, I'll go with a Z.
Oh,
You never get a Z. They're tough.
well, I'm glad that you've selected the letter Z because, of course, the letter Z is all about Z's for sleep, of course.
Sneaky.
So sometimes people have a hard time falling asleep. People will say to me, Joann, I can't turn my brain off. Don't, because then you would be dead. Fear of dying.
That's
okay,
true.
so no. So we don't want to turn our brain off, and we can't turn our brain off, but we'd like to relax. Some people keep themselves awake at night because their brain won't turn off, they say.
Mm-hmm.
So in hypnosis, we do some things, yada, 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 yada. Then I give them a recording. And at night, when they're all settled into their bed, ready for sleep, they can put the recording on. And most of the time, they'll fall asleep listening to the recording. Because why?
I don't know.
They're focused on something else. And it's that yada, 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 very relaxing. And off to sleep they can go.
Interesting.
If they wake up during the night, they can replay it if they want to. So sleep. We need sleep. It's important to have sleep. And we feel better when we get a good night's sleep. So sometimes just focusing on something else.
Well, I've been messing around with the thing called a good night's sleep. I have this philosophy called OPAO, only positivity, in and out. And I realized that if I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I would say, that's terrible. I'm up at 3 o'clock. And I thought, wait a minute, that's negative. So I had to eliminate that. So I am now comfortable at all 24 hours of the day, whether I'm asleep or awake. Now, I've been told by doctors and articles that you're supposed to get 7 straight hours or 8 straight hours, otherwise you're not doing the job that you need to do. Oh well.
Again, focusing more and more on what is within our control. What is within your control is if you wake up at 3 in the morning, you don't go into a negative.
Right. I'll do a couple hours of work and go back to sleep.
There you go. And what I'll do if I wake up during the night and I want to go right back to sleep is I'll begin to count down backwards, because the brain is wired and that when we count backwards, it takes us down into relaxation.
Ah.
So I've got that program installed. I've worked it hard, like working a particular muscle at the gym.
Yep.
So I can count backwards, and down I go back into sleep.
That's a good technique.
It works.
Who would have thunk it?
I'm telling you, only a hypnotist.
Oh, and by the way, I was thinking about the word hypnosis and negativity and positivity. So I decided that that should not be the name. It should be hypnosis.
Hypnosis.
Yes.
Hypnosis.
Get rid of that no.
Well, do you know where it comes from?
No.
Hypnosis comes from the Greek word for sleep.
Oh.
Sleep. But when we are in hypnosis, we aren't actually sleeping. It's the same brainwave pattern right before we fall asleep at night and right upon awakening in the morning. You know, we're waking up in the morning like, oh, this bed feels so good, I don't want to get up. Well, the truth is the bed does feel so good, but also that brainwave pattern is heavenly. And there's a part of our being that knows, once my feet hit the floor, this feeling is gone for the day.
Right.
Yeah, so hypnosis, it's not really sleep. It's in between sleep and wakefulness. It's a brainwave pattern. We actually go in and out of it all day long.
Oh.
Zoning out. While I was driving here today, I had to keep reminding myself what exit number I was getting off of, because you know what? I could just go into what they call highway hypnosis.
That's a new term.
Not even pay attention to the numbers on the signs for the exits. Just driving, not thinking about anything. Of course, maneuvering the traffic properly, but just in a whole different brainwave pattern.
I never knew that. I know some people drive around with their baby, trying to get the baby to go to sleep. I never knew how that was affecting a baby, but it seemed to work for some folks.
My Abigail was one of those babies.
How did you find out that this driving would work? Because it would not be my first choice.
I had my 2-year-old Joshua. Joshua was what Dr. Sears calls a high-need child, my Joshua. And there was Abby. She was my angel baby until she turned 3. But anyways, so I was married at the time, and we were at social gatherings, and my Abby wanted to be in her bed for sleep. That was it. So my ex-husband would take her and put her in her car seat. He would drive around, she would fall asleep, and he would stay in the car until she woke up. He was perfectly happy with that.
Wow.
Well, me and my hiney Joshua were socializing and just, yeah.
Wow.
So that was the case with Abby. Didn't work with Josh. He didn't like to sleep.
Can't have everything.
I'm telling you.
All right, is it your turn?
Sure, I'll take a turn.
All right.
So let me see over here. X, of course, X-rays.
That's a tough one.
X-rays,
Oh,
X-rays, but in particular MRIs. MRIs, because they're enclosed, but they have more and more of the open MRIs. But many people feel like claustrophobic, like something bad's going to happen to them in there. So I can't remember her name. She had been required to do multiple MRIs, and with each one she was more anxious and more sedated. Working together, we got her anxiety way down. She took a lower dose of Valium, and she went through it with no problem. And then the staff went to her and said, okay, why weren't you freaking out, and why aren't you heavily sedated? And she explained. She'd come to my office for a few times, and she goes, I'm perfectly safe. And if I wanted to get out, I would just say, y'all, I need to get out. You know, focusing more and more on what is within our control, as opposed to focusing on, oh my gosh, I'm in this tube and la 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 la. But the truth is, even though we are in that tube, we are safe. Nobody wants to be in, it's like the airplane tube, fear of flying, right? Crack me up.
Yeah.
So I work with people who have fear of flying, and I'm like, okay, so what is it about that that's bothersome for you? And they're like, well, I can't just get out. Well, I'm like, well, thank God, because like if you just open the door, that would be disastrous.
Bit of a problem, yeah.
So you're safe. Those doors are safely shut. You are safely locked in, focusing more and more on what is within our control. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Our survival brain, we get onto an airplane, and it's kind of like the survival brain is like, are you kidding me? Are you really no, this is not safe at all. You go, yeah, it actually is safe. It's okay.
Right.
It's okay. And then you think about your destination. The first thing you're going to do when that plane safely lands.
Well, see, I never used to fly, and people thought it was because I was afraid of flying. I said, no, I'm not afraid of flying. I have a little bit of ESP, extrasensory perception, and my ESP said that my first flight would be my last. And so I thought, well, let me put this off for a while. And I was actually asked to join a group, and we had to fly down to, I don't know, one of the islands in the Atlantic. And so I told the person in charge, I said, by the way, there's a good chance that we're going to all die, because I have this fear, not fear, but this ESP thing. And she said, well, this is a religious group, and we'll be taken care of. So, and you can tell the fact that I'm here that I survived.
So now, that's what we call a limiting belief.
A limiting belief.
A limiting belief. And a client of mine that I've recently worked with, I worked with her a year ago, fear of flying, and she said, Joann, I want to come back. Well, actually, it was 2 years ago. I couldn't believe all the flights that she's taken, all the places that she's been to.
Right.
So, revisiting the fear of flying for her. And I said to her, I want you to know, last time you were here, you said, this might be my last flight. And now you're telling me you've taken over 6 flights since I saw you. She goes, yeah, but this might be my last flight. I said, you know, you're right. This might be your last flight. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Those religious people, they had those angels surrounding that airplane,
yes.
keeping it up.
Yes. Now let's see. Whose letter is next? I'm having a memory problem. I forgot where I put it.
Well, sometimes that could be a good thing.
You choose.
So self-esteem issues and stress. Self-esteem issues, stress, 2 separate things. However, if we're beating ourselves up with low self-esteem, we're going to be more stressed. So how about if we just begin to focus more and more on the truth? Well, the truth is, I'm not perfect. The truth is, I do this, the truth is I do that. Focusing more and more on the truth, self-esteem. Well, the truth is I'm not an astronaut, so then my self-esteem isn't going to bank on being an astronaut.
Right.
But you could have made yourself a little crazy with the wanting to be taller thing. Some people do stuff like that. So they come to me.
Yep.
Self-esteem issues. So we begin from the Lion King, remember who you are. Who are you? I walk them through a particular modality, nice and relaxed. They remember who you are. Who are you? And they look at me and they go, am I supposed to answer? Yes, who are you? I am, and they'll say their name, and they'll go, I am a wife, I am a mother. Like, are you kind? I am kind. Are you considerate? And just really bringing up the truth, the self-esteem builder as opposed to the knocking down.
Well, A to Z lists help in that realm as well. I did an A to Z list of all the things I am, like father, grandfather, teacher, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I did one of all the things that I think are in my personality. And it's a very nice way to tell yourself that you're not so bad.
Absolutely. Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
There's a confidence builder. Some people come to me and say, Joann, I have low confidence. Well, yeah. So if we do an A to Z on those things that you just mentioned, confidence can be built up.
Right.
And once again, focusing more and more on what is within our control and what is the truth. The truth is I am all of these things.
Yep. Now, strangely enough, we have entered into that part of the show that's called the last 2 minutes or so.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. So I think you should have those to kind of let us know anything more you wanted to say, anything you'd like the audience to particularly know.
So, hypnosis, it's not a magic wand.
Yep.
It can help people get unstuck and the fears. Absolutely, we can work through those fears. And chronic pain, I didn't mention chronic pain outside of the jaw thing. So there's a huge percentage of people, in particular in our country, suffering with chronic pain. And these people go to the doctor, doctors, and they say, there's nothing wrong, there's nothing wrong, there's nothing wrong. Then the person is led to believe it's all in their head and something is wrong with them. No. I work with them. Your pain is real.
Cool. All right. Well, we're down to the last few seconds. I'd like to thank you for coming back and helping us with what's going on in our heads and what's being helped from your head. And, of course, the A to Z list. Thanks for tuning in. Happy day. Or night. It depends on when you've seen the thing. I don't know. It's up to you.